Welcome back to Good Sports for You, where we are talking about good sports for you. And today we are previewing the NLCS. I cannot wait between the Brewers and the Dodgers. I got my hoodie on. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, but under the weather does not stop the playoffs. So let's get it going. So we're going to start off with some gut reactions. Then we're going to talk about the Brewers. We're going to talk about the Dodgers. And then we're going to talk about general overall thoughts, overall predictions. So let's hop into it. Before we do, I want to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, do all those things that you need to do. I appreciate it so much, and thank you. So my initial gut reactions is this Dodgers team is the most talented team in the league. It's one of the most talented teams we've ever seen. Up and down the lineup, Hall of Famers, All-Stars. Pitching staff, it's the exact same thing. Cy Young winners, All-Stars, just all the way across. It's absolutely ridiculous with talent. However, offensively, they didn't do great against Philadelphia, and that was the first real pitching staff that they actually played, so I would put that of note. Their top guys really struggled. Shohei Ohtani had an awful NLDS. Freddie Freeman had a pretty bad NLDS. These things definitely matter. But with that being said, they're still good enough that I believe in them to bounce back. The Brewers team is hot. This Brewers team is really good. They find ways to win that other teams don't. They can win in multiple facets. They can win by out-pitching you. They can win by out-hitting you. They can win by hitting more home runs than you. They can win by slapping the ball around more than you. They can win by stealing bases better, by running the bases better, by playing better defense. They find more ways to win, and that's what led them to be the most successful regular season team this year. The other thing that I want to note is that the Brewers are 6-0 against the Dodgers in the regular season this year. Obviously, this is the playoffs, not the regular season, but that is still something to note that the Brewers have had the Dodgers number this entire season long. And the matchups haven't been we played them in April and stuff like that. And also, before I get into it, I am a Brewers fan, at the end of the day, but I'm going to try to be straight up. I may show a little bit of Brewers bias, at the end for the predictions and everything like that, but it is what it is. But gut reactions, it's going to be a great series. I think it's going to go 7 for sure. I don't find any doubt in that. Also, this is the rematch of 2018. I think it's going to be just as good of a series as 2018, which also went 7. I think it's going to go 7. I have the Brewers winning at home in 7. But regardless, it's going to be an absolutely fantastic series, and I cannot wait. When you're looking at the offense, there are a couple of key cogs in here. Andrew Vaughn has kept up his fantastic Brewers regular season with a 1.126. Jackson Chourio is sitting at over a 1 with a 1.088 OPS. And he gets it done whenever you need him to. He's clutch for such a young kid, too. He lives up to the moment every single time. William Contreras, he's had multiple home runs this series, including some big-time clutch ones, including the opener. In Game 5, he hit the solo shot to start off scoring. And he's got an OPS that's just below 1,000. But after those three guys, it really starts to fall off. Christian Yelich didn't have a great series. He's sitting at a 679 OPS. Caleb Durbin, one of those guys that he was one of those guys where it's okay, well, we also got Caleb Durbin. He's got an OPS at 618. Blake Perkins just below 600. Sal Frelick also below 600. And Bryce Terang is sitting at a 540 and Joey Ortiz with a 421. Now, I wouldn't say that Joey Ortiz at a 421 is something to worry about because we kind of knew that his offense was going to be bad this entire season long. So that's not a concern. Bryce Terang, on the other hand, with an OPS at 540 is definitely a concern because he helped buoy this Brewers team with his incredible offense in the month of August. So you need to get him back if the Brewers really want to try to make a push to make it to the World Series and potentially win the whole entire thing. Same with Sal Frelick. He's been kind of a consistent machine, and that consistency seemed to fall off in this most recent divisional round. So those are definitely some players to keep an eye on, specifically Bryce Terang, Christian Yelich, and Sal Frelick. Those are three guys that are key pieces that definitely slowed down. When you're looking at the pitching side of things, Freddie Peralta is going to be the ace for the Brewers staff. In his couple of starts, he wasn't fantastic against the Cubs, but he was fine with a 4.66 ERA. The one thing that I will note, though, is that he did allow 3 home runs in those 2 games. Obviously, the Dodgers can hit a lot of home runs. Teoscar Hernandez, Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. They can all hit mashers with the best of them. So Freddie definitely needs to keep the long ball down in order to not let it get too out of hand. Quinn Priester got roughed up in his .2 innings in Game 3 against the Cubs. That was bad. That was a very, very bad game. Aaron Ashby is going to be used as the opener for game one. He's been used as an opener in the past. He's coming in relief, but he's rocking a 5.79 ERA. You don't exactly love that. Jose Quintana, he was never used as a starter in the first series, but he can definitely be a starter. But he came in relief with 3 scoreless innings of relief, which was huge. Chad Patrick, another guy who can be a starter, but he was used primarily, actually exclusively, in relief for the past series against the Cubs, and he was fantastic. He was probably the most clutch pitcher for the entire Brewers staff, with 4 2/3 innings scoreless throughout that series. Jacob Mizorowski, another guy who was totally capable of starting, but he was used in a bulk relief scenario for the last series. He had a 1.29 ERA coming out of the pen in that series, which is fantastic for a kid who's so good. He has immense arm talent. The balls can get a little bit out of control sometimes. He can't keep it in the zone as well as you would like on occasion, but if the control can go up, sometimes he just needs like a batter or two to settle in. But he can definitely also get the ball on the bump to start some games. And then also you're going to be adding Tobias Myers, who at a bare minimum isn't going to be, if he's not going to be a starter, he's at a bare minimum going to be a bulk relief type guy to help alleviate some of the pressure off of some of these guys that we know were pitching a lot throughout the last series. When you're looking at the relief as a whole, though, it was ultimately extremely shut down. Your high leverage guys did exactly what you wanted them to do. Abner Uribe, 3 innings of hitless ball and only 1 walk allowed. Trevor McGill, he pitched 2 scoreless. Grant Anderson, he pitched 2 scoreless. Jared Koenig and Robert Gasser were the 2 guys in the pen that weren't great. Robert Gasser is a starter at the end of the day. He can be a starter. He was coming out of the pen. He got extremely roughed up. And Jared Koenig, he had a very, very small sample size and he gave up a home run, and that is what it is. But with this Brewers pitching staff, there's one key piece that I thought was going to be back that is still going to be missing, and that is Brandon Woodruff. Brandon Woodruff is an all-star caliber starter with playoff experience. You obviously want him back on the staff, and realistically now the only time that he could possibly return is the World Series, which you do not love for this Brewers squad, which you can always benefit from more pitching depth. Speaking of more pitching depth, let's hop over to the Dodgers. The Dodgers just have an absolute plethora of talent no matter how you slice it. On offense, you got Teoscar Hernandez. He had a 1 dot throughout the whole entire playoffs. I'm going to look at the whole entire playoff stats for the Dodgers first, and then we're going to focus on the NLCS, and you're going to see some stark comparisons. Let's just say that. Mookie Betts has over a 1 dot in the playoffs. Max Muncy an 825. Kike Hernandez an 809. Tommy Edman with an 800 OPS. And then you start to fall off a little bit. Freddie Freeman looking at 638. Shohei Ohtani 604. Will Smith 421 OPS. And Andy Pages with a 122 OPS. You do not love that. Looking at Andy Pages, he was your breakout guy who was like, okay, he can flip the lineup over. He can get on base and do all these things. He can hit for some power. Like when he was in your 9 or 8 spot, you absolutely love that. But with the way that he's been performing in this playoffs, you do not love that at all. Will Smith is coming back from injury, and he hasn't been performing very well. Shohei Ohtani, he did good in the first series, but in the second series, he really struggled. Freddie Freeman, we know that he's a playoff performer, but the question is, can he return to that level because he has struggled in these past 2 series? But like I said, let's look at the numbers from the NLDS. Teoscar Hernandez goes from over a 1 dot to 723 OPS in the NLDS. Mookie Betts, 631 OPS in the NLDS. Max Muncy was the one guy who took a big leap. He has over a 1 dot at a 1056 OPS. Kike Hernandez dropped down to a 639. Tommy Edman went from an 800 to a 647. Freddie Freeman went from a 638 to a 561. Shohei Ohtani for the entire playoffs had a 608. In the NLDS, he had a 206. A 206 for a guy who's the most talented baseball player we've ever seen, the best player in the league, and he is performing extremely poorly. The team needs for him to be better, especially if he's going to be leading off. You need for him to get on base. You need for him to get hit. So that's like a huge red flag for this Dodgers team. And Andy Pages, he actually jumped up a little bit from a 122 OPS to a 133 OPS. But obviously still, those are atrocious numbers. So you can see that this offense definitely took a huge step back when they were facing the Philadelphia Phillies, which definitely can be a bright spot for the Brewers and definitely a spot of concern for this Dodgers. Pitching-wise, again, it's just a plethora of talent. Blake Snell had a 138 ERA throughout the entire postseason, but against Philadelphia, he pitched a scoreless game. Yamamoto, he has a 2.53 ERA as a whole. However, He gave up 3 runs in 4 innings of work against the Phillies, so that's definitely something to note. Tyler Glasnow has been absolutely fantastic, pitching 7 2/3 of scoreless innings across 2 games, including 1 start. He's been absolutely fantastic. And Ohtani had a 4.50 ERA, except he exclusively pitched against the Reds, so that's something to note. But those are really going to be your starters, and then the question also comes to be, is Clayton Kershaw going to be a starter at all, or are we going to see him out of the pen again like we saw in the last series? Clayton Kershaw, obviously one of the greatest pitchers of all time, but he's not a playoff performer, and it showed again against the Phillies where he really struggled coming out of relief. He's known to be a playoff choker, which you don't love if you're a Dodgers fan, but at the end of the day, he's one of the best pitchers ever. You can obviously trust him if he finds his stuff, but he struggled to find his stuff his entire career in the playoffs, so I don't know if you can trust him now. Also have Emmett Sheehan, who has been really poor in the playoffs out of the pen, but he has a 100% ability to start, and he 100% can. When you're looking exclusively at guys who are in the bullpen, you had Alex Vessier, who had a 6 ERA throughout the playoffs. Roki Sasaki has been their guy, though. In 5 1/3, he's pitched scoreless innings across 4 games. So he's been fantastic. There were definitely some question marks about if he can translate from a starter to a bullpen role, and he has done that seamlessly. Blake Trinan has pitched awfully, and they keep pitching him out. He's pitched in a lot of games, and he has a 7.71 ERA. And Jack Dreyer, he's really one of your only other guys who they've been using a lot. He pitched 1.2 scoreless innings. So when you're looking at the pitching staff as a whole, you got a lot of really good, a lot of really solid starters. But as you can see, the bullpen really outside of Roki Sasaki really starts to fall apart. Blake Trinan has been poor. Alex Vessier has been poor. So it's like, where are they going to get those final outs? And that's something that the Brewers definitely need to capitalize on. When you're looking at the series as a whole, I got a couple of key points that I want to point out. The first one is that the first good pitching staff that the Dodgers faced, they really struggled against in the Phillies. I wouldn't say that the Brewers have quite as good a staff as Philadelphia has, but they still have a very good staff. So the question is, are we going to see the offense that propelled them to beat the Reds, or are we going to see the offense that really struggled to get past the Phillies? And the second question is going to be, can the Brewers' holes on offense limit them too much? There are definitely some holes. Joey Ortiz, Sal Frelick, Bryce Terang, those have all been big holes. Christian Yelich, you could argue, has also been a hole. So the question is, can those holes be covered up enough for this lineup to continue to do damage? And then the third question is going to be, how quickly can the Brewers get into this Dodgers bullpen? I think that is going to be the question of the entire series. We know that Blake Snell can go 6 or 7 innings and pitch incredibly well. We know that Yamamoto can do the same thing. We know that Tyler Glasnow can do the same thing. So the question is going to be, can the Brewers work their at-bats, get the pitch counts up, work some walks, do all those things that we know that the Brewers can do to chase the starter maybe in the 5th inning instead of the 6th inning. So then you can get into the bullpen, which has for sure been the Achilles heel for this Dodgers team. As a whole, I think the Dodgers are the more talented team, but I think that this is going to be a phenomenal series. I see it going 7, and honestly, I'm going to pick Brewers in 7 just because the Dodgers offense struggled so much against a good pitching staff, and their bullpen just simply isn't there, whereas the Brewers bullpen has been lights out this entire season and lights out in the playoffs, and I think the Brewers offense has just enough to get the job done. But we'll have to wait and see. I am so excited for this series. I will be watching every game so intently. But that's all I got for you. I hope you had a good time listening to me. I had a great time talking to you. But that's been it for me. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all those things, and I'm out. Peace.